Have fun. They all seem very nice.
Hey everyone, it's such an honor to be back here at TEDx. This is actually my second TEDx talk. First of all, before I start, I'd like to thank Mr. Henderson so much for organizing this. It's been so amazing, really. Also, I don't know if she's here, but Ruth Shedd was my speaking coach for TEDx, and she helped me so much. I came into Starbucks to have a meeting with her, and I was just, oh, Ruth, I'm so nervous. I can't do this. And she was like, don't even worry, we got this, we're fine, and she helped me so much. So thank you to her. My name is Hannah Taylor, and I'm 17 years old. And I think the last time I was on this stage, I was in a children's opera. And so it's kind of weird to be not walking out here in like full-on costume. I'm about to try and like belt some crazy tunes, but I won't do that for you guys. Okay. I would like to start with this. Move out of the way. I need you guys to remember those slides, and I'm going to get back to them a little bit later. Now, in order to start off my talk, I need to give you guys a bit of a background story on me. All of this started when I was 5 years old, and I was in my mom's car driving down a back lane, and I looked out my window, and I was eating McDonald's, I think, and I saw a man eating out of a garbage dumpster. And this stunned me. I'd never seen homelessness before. And I asked my mom, what's he doing? Why is he doing that? And she said, he's down on his luck, he has to do that to eat. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I could share my lunch with him, but we'd already passed him, we kept driving. And my heart just could not let this go. For about a year, I asked my mom question after question about this man, and then as I learned more about homelessness, others who are homeless in our city and in our country. And it's because I couldn't forget about it that the Ladybug Foundation got started when I was 8. And that's the reason I'm here today. Now, I need to get something out of the way first. I am the most normal kid. Like, I'm so normal. When I was 8 and all of this started, I was wearing rubber boots and jumping in puddles and collecting frogs. And then when I was 13 and things were really getting started, I had my braces phase. And now I'm 17 and I should have done better on my math test last week, and I worry about boys. I'm the most normal person. I honestly don't feel like the kind of person who should be up speaking at TEDx, because I'm so regular, I'm so normal. And I'm going to talk about comfort zones in a few minutes. And as I was walking out here, I was thinking, Hannah, don't you dare trip and fall. Don't do it, because it would totally be something I do. The reason I'm up here is because I found something that bothered me, and I couldn't forget about it. I found something that was wrong, and my heart wouldn't let go. It's not because I'm different. And this is something that everyone in this room has power to do. I've been incredibly lucky to meet amazing people from all over Canada and different parts of the world. And many of these people have been amazing children, from Palestine and Sweden and Lethbridge and Morden and in Winnipeg here. And they all have different passions, and they all have different backgrounds and different stories. But something that I've seen in common with them is that they're all great examples of the power of young people. And I'm going to let you in on that secret of the power that we have. Because it's not a power that picks and chooses, it's a power that everybody has. Our power lies in our ability to see the truth with total clarity. Let's see if I can get this puppy. This is a quote by Aldous Huxley. He's a prominent English writer. He wrote Brave New World. And it's one of my favorite quotes. Children are remarkable for their intelligence and ardor, for their curiosity, their intolerance of shams, and the clarity and ruthlessness of their vision. Now, I had to look up the word ardor. I didn't know what it meant. My English teacher would not be impressed. But what it means is enthusiasm and passion. So what makes children amazing is that not only are we passionately curious, which is something that is a deadly combination in and of itself, but we also see right and wrong totally clearly. It's something that we inherently do. And when we find that right and wrong, we can't let go of it. We can't stand it. Now, actually, in this past video, Ken Robinson's 2006 TED Talk was spoken about, and it's also one of my favorite TED Talks. And he said this: we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. So what happens as we get older with this ability to see the simple truth of things? I think that Ken Robinson is on the right track with this, and it also is connected to this ability that we have to see simple truths. You know, when we're young, we aren't cynical. We don't think about the politics of things or what it's going to cost us to help somebody or whether or not they deserve it. When I was 5 and I saw Manny in a garbage can, I said, you know, that shouldn't happen. I didn't think about how we got there. Our power lies in the ability that we all have to say, that person needs help, and I'm going to help them because it's right. You know when you're little and someone says to you for the first time, you know, oh, don't worry about it, it's a little white lie, it's fine. You know, like an older sibling. And you're standing there, and you're like, well, no, you didn't finish your homework, and you just told your mom you did. Like that would be a lie, and it really bugs you. It really bugged me when I was little. That comes from our ability to see right and wrong, and just inherently knowing when it's wrong. There was a TED Talk by Seth Godin, and it's called How to Get Your Ideas to Spread. And the theme was that for an idea to spread, it has to be remarkable. It has to be something that someone would make remarks about. And a young person speaking a simple truth with passion and raising awareness about it is remarkable. What was remarkable about me doing this at 5 wasn't me, but it was my simple truth being spoken about at my age. And finding your simple truth, finding that simple truth that you're passionate about, is the first step in making change. Now, you've heard of this guy, Craig Kielburger. He's the founder of Free the Children, an organization that provides help internationally in over 45 countries. He and his brother, founder of Meet a We. How many people here were at We Day? Yeah, so you guys know this guy. Well, he started out as this guy, a 12-year-old who saw something in a newspaper that his heart couldn't forget about. This was his simple truth. No child should be exploited or feel as though they are powerless. He was inspired by this boy, Iqbal Masih. Iqbal Masih was a child debt slave who worked in a carpet factory in Pakistan. And once he was rescued from this carpet factory, he worked to spread awareness in Pakistan about child debt slaves and how wrong it is. The newspaper article was about how he'd been murdered for speaking out. But this was his simple truth. No one should have to live the life of a child slave. Everyone has a right to freedom. This is my beautiful friend Imelda. I work with an amazing organization in Sweden that deals with children's rights. And Imelda is from Mozambique. And in her village, she is able to go to school, but there are many children who are unable to. And she was coming home from school one day, and she saw all the kids that weren't coming home from school. They hadn't been able to go, and she thought, you know, I'm not a teacher yet, but I have been taught things. I could share that. And so she set up a schoolroom in our house, and she started teaching what she learned after school every day to the kids who couldn't go. This was her simple truth. Everyone should have a chance to go to school. Here are those slides again. This one was my simple truth. These are all regular people who found a simple truth that they couldn't forget about. These are people that made their simple truth loud enough that others couldn't forget about it either. You know, I talked about that year that I asked all those questions. You know, my mom said to me, Hannah, why does it bug you so much? Why can't you let this go? And I said, you know, Mom, once you know something, you can't unknow it. And that's how simple truths work. Now, I realize that homelessness, along with all of these other issues, are complicated. You know, there are all sorts of different theories and programs and ideas as to how to change them and improve situations. But what has remained constant through all of this is that simple truth. You know, it's still true that in a country as amazing and privileged as Canada, people shouldn't have to live on the streets. It was true when I was 5, and it'll be true when I'm 50. That's what's remarkable about these people and their stories. It's also what's remarkable about my friend from Vancouver, who set up a Ladybug Foundation fundraiser in her school. My friend Poonam, that's a funny picture of her, from Sweden. I met her in Sweden, and she's actually from Nepal, and she works for girls who've been saved from brothels or who are ex-sex slaves. It is also what's true about this school in Morden, who couldn't actually make it out to Ladybug Foundation's Walk a Mile in Their Shoes in Winnipeg, so they organized their own in their school field. And my great friend Amarlal, who works for child slaves in Pakistan. Everyone has the power to make their simple truth into remarkable change. But change doesn't just happen. Other than that one simple truth that makes you passionate, what is it going to take? The first thing I can tell you for sure that it's going to take is it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. It's going to take some risks. When I was 11, school had just ended, and I was walking around in Superstore with my mom, and we were getting craft supplies because we were about to head out for my grandparents' place. And my mom got a call on her phone, and she's like, "Hannah, it's Jane Goodall's assistant." I'm like, "What?" Of course, I learned about her in school and all this. And Jane Goodall had come to Winnipeg with her exhibition in the Museum of Man and Nature and wanted to meet with me. And so I got to spend a few hours with her, and I learned so much. She's this incredible woman. But back in 1945, when she was 11, she told her parents she wanted to go to Africa. And this was met by laughter. The idea of women in science, or women having jobs in science, wasn't really something that was accepted. It wasn't really something that people thought could happen. That first trip from the UK to Africa must have been so scary. Being immersed in a field that, was pretty much male-dominated must have been also pretty scary. But that 11-year-old girl is now a UN Messenger of Peace. She's the founder of the Jane Goodall Institute. And she's also made an incredible impact on endangered species, the environment, and people in this world. But a risk is anything that's outside of your comfort zone. You don't have to be challenging gender stereotypes as strongly as Dr. Goodall did. Speaking at TEDx is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. It could be, I've gotten emails from kids saying that they've spoken in front of their class about something that they cared about, and that was kind of scary. There was a girl who emailed me saying that she stood on a street corner with her violin and asked for donations for the Ladybug Foundation. Maybe there's a new kid at school, and you yourself are shy, but you say hi to that kid because it would make their day better. That's a risk too. Now, the next thing it's going to take is some hard work and dedication. Change never just happens. One of my favorite TED Talks is by this woman, Sheryl Sandberg. She is currently the COO of Facebook. I have to get this name right. She is the former vice president of global online sales and operations at Google. Imagine fitting that on a business card, wow. She also helped in launching Google.org, which is Google's philanthropic arm, and was the chief of staff at the United States Department of Treasury. She is also in Time's top 100 most influential people of 2012. She graduated from Harvard and earned her MBA with top honors from Harvard Business School. And she's also doing her best to empower women to retire in their fields through her book called Lean In. Every contribution she's made to Facebook, every contribution she's made to empowering women, everything has come from hard work and dedication. And that's what's made her impact so remarkable. The third thing it's going to take is support. One person can make a difference, but together we can make an even bigger difference. Whenever you want to make change, it's so important to remember that you're not alone. Maybe your simple truth isn't that different from someone else's. When I first spoke to my grade 1 class about doing something, it was one of the most hopeful moments I think I've ever experienced, because every single person in the class got excited, and everyone had a different idea they wanted to contribute. So remember your peers. Craig Kielburger started off with 12-year-olds who wanted to make a difference. And now he's got thousands of people working with him to make change in the world. But I don't just mean peers. I mean the teachers and parents and adults in your life too. They can play a very important role. For the teachers who are listening today, I want to tell you guys a story. One night I was being tucked into bed and I asked my mom another question, and she said, "Hannah, maybe if you do something about it, your heart won't feel so sad." The next day I went to my grade 1 teacher, and I asked her if I could talk to the class about homelessness and if we could do something to help. And she didn't just pat me on the head and say, "That's nice, dear, let's go do spelling now." She looked me in the eye and she said, "That's a great idea. Let's have lunch." She took me seriously, and I think it's one of the biggest reasons that the Ladybug Foundation is here today. So when a student comes to you and they're passionate about something, please remember to take it seriously. Be a Mrs. Hildebrand. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is how much all of this risk-taking and hard work and the support from others matter. How much your simple truths and working with your simple truths matter. Big or small. It matters to Rick. I met Rick a few years ago at Sloan Mission, and I think I was about 7, and I just got to the age when I can officially volunteer at places now. But when I was 7, I was helping serve some food and speaking with some people. And Rick came up to me and we started talking, and when I had to leave, he hugged me and he whispered, "Thank you so much for caring about us." We've been friends ever since. I call him my mushum because it means grandpa in Ojibwe, and Rick is Ojibwe. And whenever things get busy or whenever things get hard, I remember that all of this matters to Rick. It also matters to Frodo. I met Frodo in Red Deer, Alberta through an incredible Housing First project that runs there. And I got to spend an afternoon with him, and we sat, and he told me all these stories. And he's the most interesting person. He knows every Bob Dylan song imaginable and can play almost any instrument you can think of. And I left him that day wondering when I would get to see him again. The next day I was speaking at a fundraising event in Red Deer, and as I looked into the crowd, I saw him. He had come to show his love, care, and support as my friend. And he started to cry. And this is another person that just, it matters to him. All this work and all this risk-taking is making an impact in somebody's life, and this was such a big example of that for me. You know, it matters to the animals whose homes are now protected by the Jane Goodall Institute, the women who are being empowered by Sheryl Sandberg's book, the kids at We Day who learn they have a voice, the children in Imelda's village who now know how to read, the kids who sat beside Iqbal in the carpet factory who gained hope. It also mattered to a little girl I met in Toronto at a youth shelter. I was being given a tour, and as we walked along the shelter, more and more kids joined in, kids who were being helped by the shelter, and would start telling me stories. And when I was hugging everyone goodbye, a little girl who hadn't said anything yet came out from the crowd. And she hugged me and she said, "Before today, I thought nobody loved me. Now I know that you do." Now, since the Ladybug Foundation started in 2004, I've done my best to spread the message of how we can help to as many people as I can, from grade 1 students to celebrities to the Prime Minister, anyone who will listen. And I've spoken at more than 300 different events and schools across Canada and different parts of the world. We now support over 55 different organizations and have raised more than $3.5 million. This is proof. Oh Lordy. This is proof of what a simple truth and a passionate heart can do. And it's proof that a normal person with a simple truth can do something. It'll take hard work, and it'll take risks, and it'll take support. But it'll be worth it. Please remember that any act of kindness is a remarkable one. Thank you so much for this opportunity.